Hello guys, it's Silfang45. This is my 7th time recording this, and I'm getting pretty angry, so sorry if I seem a little less cheery than normal. Anyway, this is going to be my draft analysis and my team builder for my week 1 match. I've made defensive balance, as you can see, and it's built around Mega Venusaur. I plan to bring him every week because he's just a great mod. And I started with my first 3 picks of Mega Venusaur, Rotomosh, and Skarmory for my core. This gives me pivots, it gives me some recovery, albeit very unreliable recovery, but recovery in Leech Seed. It gives me hazards, and it gives me the ability to phase my opponent out. This is pretty big. It also gives me defog, which is useful. This allows me to use this core against most teams, as it covers basically everything you'll need. I then went for Muck Alola to check Psychic types, because I'd already covered the Flying weakness for Mega Venusaur my other 2 picks. This can Pursuit Trap, and it's pretty much my only check to a Calm Mind Lati. Yeah. Then I went for Darmanitan, just to have some offensive pressure, and I went for a Fire type because I wanted to finish my Grass Water Fire core. It also has U-turn, which is relevant. You'll see in my match for week 1 when I upload it. Next, I realized I didn't have speed control or natural speed, so I went with Ribombee. That gives me webs and a naturally fast mon. I'm pretty sure Galvantula was allowed up at this point, but I preferred Ribombee over it simply because of that natural speed being so much higher. It's also my Z captain. I have 2 of them, and this is one of them. Next is Azulf. It's another naturally fast mon. It's a Psychic type to give me another check to Psychic types by being able to sort of tank a hit. Not very reliably, but it can at least take some Psychic hits. Also, having an offensive Psychic type is really useful. I then went for Haxorus because I realized I didn't have a dragon, and it was free and in tier 2. And seeing Haxorus free on round 8 is kind of just an instant pick. It's going to be my win con most weeks simply because I plan to slowly weaken the opponent and then just sweep in one fell swoop. And Haxorus allows me to do that. It's also my second Z captain. With this, you can't have 2 captains of the same tier, hence why it's Ribombee and not Azulf as my second Z captain. I then chose Hitmontop, I believe it's called. I get the Hitmons confused. I just wanted a bulky fighting type with Rapid Spin. That's the entire purpose of it. I won't bring it most weeks, but when I do, it will be decent enough. It's kind of just there for being a fighting type. Palossand was picked because I didn't have a ghost type. I wanted a way to spin block, seeing as my team has a hard time punishing rapid spin. It's also got some other reason to be there, basically the fact that it's sort of bulky and it has a really good recovery move, allowing it to be sort of useful against rain, but that's kind of it. Blissey's my next choice. I wanted a special wall because I realized up until this point my mons weren't very specially defensive. They were generally just mixed defenses, or they were Skarmory. It also gives me Wish support, which is nice. It gives me Rocks, I believe, and it's just an all-round good mon. And that's basically it. I wouldn't change much except for muck into the Zoroark, as my main issue is speed. Another one I would have went for is Hitmonlee, but that was taken earlier, and Hitmontop was the better choice. Now, for my week 1 match, I ended up having to verse this team. Yeah, Hitmontop is kind of like, that was my immediate thought to this because I saw a lot of ice types, but I immediately realized that Hooper Unbound completely destroys my team, Mega Marwell completely destroys my team. Kyurem Scarfed completely destroys my team. Scarf Minxiao's an option, and it also destroys my team. So I realized that using defensive mods would not be useful. I wanted to play very aggressive, to be able to deal with that Hooper Unbound, and to be able to stop the Marwell from getting a chance to set up. And another issue is the Galvantula. I realized webs against my team was bad, so I wanted to bring Rabombi to counter web. And also, Galvantula is sort of a threat to some of my mons. It wasn't as big a threat as others, but it was still annoying. And for the team builder, this is very rushed, but this is just because I've done this 7 times and I'm getting pretty sick of it. So I decided Scarf Darmanitan was my instant first pick, because I knew that I died to a Scarfed Hooper if I didn't have this. This was my immediate answer to Scarfed Hooper, because U-turn one-shots regardless. I also brought Flare Blitz to just have a good stab coverage and to kill Marwell. I brought Stone Edge for Arcanine, I believe. It was something that hit Arcanine and the Ice types equally, and it was a way to not take chip against those. I also brought Earthquake. It does more to the Arcanine, but it doesn't hit the Ice type, so it's always a choice between those two moves. I brought Mega Venusaur simply because of Swampert, because I realized it was really hard for me to out a Swampert without it, hence why a Latemon has a move it has. This has Earthquake, Symphysis, Leech Seed, and Giga Drain. I didn't bring Sludge Wave simply because I needed an answer to both Swampert and Mega Marwell, and this was my only real option to it. Bold Earthquake always breaks a sub on a Mega Marwell, and it does like a min of like 32, so it was always one of my answers to Mega Marwell, because normally he will swap a Marwell in on this. Also, the Swampert, because I knew he would bring that, I had Giga Drain, because if I don't have Giga Drain, he beats me in the 1v1. I brought Sash Azelf with Explosion, Stealth Rock, Fire Blast, and U-turn. You might be wondering why I don't have Taunt considering his Sticky Webs, but you'll find out in the actual match. Sash Explosion means I can always kill a Hooper. It also lets me destroy a lot of his mons if I keep the Sash up. Stealth Rock is there just in case I choose to rock. I don't believe I did rock, but it was always there as an option. Fire Blast lets me 2-hit KO a Marwell, the entire reason of bringing it. And I had U-turn just so I had a way to kill Hooper without killing myself. Next I brought my Rabombi, Therianium Z, I think I pronounced that right. Sticky Webs, Quiver Dance, Moonblast, Energy Ball. I used Sticky Webs just in case they got Sticky Webs. I never planned to actually set it myself, because I knew I outsped his team naturally due to purposely bringing Hyper Offense. But if he did put webs down, I knew I would need to Sticky Web. Quiver Dance was just in case I got a chance to set up. Moonblast, it's there to hit most of his team, and Twinkle Tackle always does like 40% minimum to a Marwell, which is surprisingly relevant. And then Energy Ball was to kill Swampert, because I had very few answers to it at that point. The speed tier was, like me choosing 128 speed, it was meant to be timid, so that it could always outspeed a Galvantula unless it's Scarfed, but I kept it modest instead. It didn't matter in the match, too much, but I would change that next time. Also, everything else, it's generally just 252 for the stats, so I haven't mentioned them. Then I had Haxorus, Dragon Dance, Outrage, Dragon Claw, Earthquake with Life Orb. I was going to bring Lumberry to deal with a power from a Thunder Wave. From a Thunder, I mean. Excuse me. But I lose a KO on Marwile without the Life Orb, so I had to bring it. Life Orb EQ is the only answer to a Mega Marwile after an Intimidate. I brought Dragonclaw and Outrage. Dragonclaw was there just in case the Mawile was still alive and I needed to sweep, because I didn't want to risk outraging into the Mawile and letting him set up for free. Rotom had Defog. I never planned on using it, because I always had the Sticky Web answer to Sticky Web, but it was there just in case. Volt Switch was just for momentum. Hydro Pump, I just needed a stab, and Will-O-Wisp just for the Mawile. I had leftovers and Max Spadef to take hits from, I forget who it was. I think it was Vanilluxe with Freeze Dry. But yeah, it was basically there just to Will-O-Wisp the Mawile. I will have the team match soon, but yeah, that's just the reason I put things on like I did. Also with this, I didn't really worry about Sweet Veil because he had no Sleep Mons. So yeah, that's my team. Also Chloroform instead of Overgrow simply because Overgrow would never be useful. But yeah. And I will bring Zen Mode Darmanitan 1 week, but I'll need to have a good matchup to do it. Peace.